It's another episode of State Your Case every Tuesday, every single solitary Tuesday at high noon from 12 to 1 p.m. It is none other than State Your Case. It is with three great attorneys right here in Northern Nevada. That's Bill Kendall, Rick Cornell, as well as Todd Torvinen, who will be in here shortly. We have a very special guest who's on the line with us right now, and that's none other than attorney and candidate at one time here, and that's Danny Tarkanian. Danny, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Listen, now you got to put on your attorney outfit and your attorney hat because we're going to be talking about certain cases. Rick, if you don't mind, how about for Radio for America that also carries this show syndicated, as well as AUN Television, how about telling everybody viewing and listening about the case that you were talking about that you just won?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Mine is an appeals and writ practice, a post-judgment practice, and over the years I've had some cases that have hit the media, high-profile cases, and I've even won a few of them. I won another one in September, and early in my career I would have been, I can't wait to brag about this one. Now it's kind of like, well, the good news is that I'm no longer Mr. Irrelevant. Apparently, the court will pay attention to me once in a while. That's a good thing. But this was the Wayne Cameron case. It was a pretty high-profile case in Reno, basically because of who Wayne Cameron is. He was a mortgage broker, mortgage banker, and it was a quote-unquote road rage killing that happened in the area of Field Creek and Arrow Creek,
right
down there. It's pretty well-to-do area. And he was convicted of first-degree murder at age 52 and given life without parole.
Now, what are the facts about who he allegedly, or how he allegedly killed somebody?
Well, the facts are that from what everybody tells me, a very nice 28-year-old man passed by him, apparently passed too closely or almost hit him or something, and he followed him, and they had words at the scene, and the young man was holding a vape pen. The case happened at night when the light wasn't too good. My client thought it was a gun, thought that between that and what he said that he was pointing a gun at him. So he carried a gun wherever he went, and he went back to his car, got his Glock 40, and bang, one shot through the window and killed him.
Did he have a permit to carry it? Or is he one of these illegal ones who just carries a gun around because he thinks he can?
We're an open carry state.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember. He probably did. Okay. But, here was the problem. The state charged it as either open murder, which allows a jury to consider what degree of criminal homicide it is. Is it a first-degree murder, a second-degree murder, a voluntary manslaughter, or an involuntary manslaughter? But also charged it as felony murder. If it's felony murder.
What was a felony?
The felony as charged was burglary. What is the theory of burglary? In this case, the theory of burglary was that when Cameron was 10 feet away from the vehicle and he fired the gunshot, the bullet's entry into the car constituted a burglary.
Get out. Who came up with that ridiculously stupid idea?
Well, let's put it this way. The prosecutor and the judge on jury.
Let me guess. This is what you got it reversed on.
That's exactly what I got it reversed on.
Gee. But doesn't take a rocket science to figure that one out.
Yeah, but reversed, but with a dissent. And the majority ruling.
Well, what did the jury convict him of?
First-degree murder, and we don't know what theory. Was it open murder, first-degree murder? In other words, did they think that he acted with premeditation?
So it would either have to be premeditation or the felony murder.
Or the felony murder. We don't.
And the felony murder doesn't fly.
Right, but the prosecutor argued felony murder. We argued both. So we don't know. And there was a dissent, a very lengthy dissent written by Justice Pickering. The majority opinion was written. It was an unpublished order, so we don't know precisely who wrote it, but I'm quite sure it was Justice Abby Silver, and probably the last thing she did before she left the bench, and signed off on by Justice Kadish. And the argument between the two camps is, okay, so the judge screwed up in allowing this to go for a felony murder, but is the error harmless? Would it have made a difference? And the two majority said, yeah, it would, and Justice Pickering said, no, it wouldn't. The DA filed a petition for a hearing. The Chief Justice for the time being this year is Justice Paragary. Ron Paraгаry's been on the bench for quite a while. He entered an order saying, we want the whole court to determine this. So rewrite your petition for the whole court, and then you, Mr. Cornell, file a response, which I did earlier this month. So awaits a decision, and things are pretty interesting because of the changeover with the Nevada Supreme Court. As you may be aware, Governor Sisolak just appointed a commercial transaction attorney named Patricia Lee from Las Vegas to the court to replace Justice Silver, and Justice Hardesty will be leaving the bench as of the end of the year.
Any idea who his replacement's going to be?
Yes, it's Judge Linda Bell, soon to be Justice Linda Bell from Las Vegas, will replace him. So
she's a longtime district court judge, isn't she?
Yeah, and her dad is Stu Bell, who's a famous lawyer down there.
I tell you, we're going to take our first break. Now, if you just tuned in, Todd Torvinen has joined the panel here. And also on the phone, we do have attorney Danny Tarkanian, who ran for Congress just recently. And we will be right back.
Have you, a friend, or family member been diagnosed with cancer? Dr. Forsythe at the Forsythe Cancer Care Center offers an all-inclusive program to treat adult types of cancer. The Forsythe Immune Protocol Cancer Treatment Plan, in a current prospective study of over 6.5 years and 1,200 adult cancer patients, has produced a remarkable 30 times greater survival statistic when compared to conventional full-dose chemotherapy. Greater than 95% of all their patients choose low-dose insulin-potentiated life chemotherapy, using only 10 to 15% chemotherapy dosing with insulin. Dr. Forsythe has long been considered one of the most respected physicians in the United States, particularly for his treatment of cancer and the legal use of human growth hormone. Located in Reno, Nevada, Dr. Forsythe has seen patients from all over the world. To schedule your consultation today, call 775-827-0707. That number again is 775-827-0707.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by A Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
Charbecue, the Butcher's Kitchen, would like to thank every customer for your loyalty and continued support through these challenging times. Call for takeout and delivery of rib tips, brisket, ahi, tuna, roasted veggies, and much more. Charbecue is open from 11 to 7, Monday through Saturday, and delivers hot food safe and healthy. Call 499-5855 for details. 499-5855 Charbecue, as featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives. Get real. Get into Charbecue Reno.
Hi, this is Eddie Floyd. Let me tell you about my favorite non-profit public charity, Wainema Wild Horse Sanctuary, located on the Forsythe Ranch in Hallelujah Junction area. And please go to www.wainemaranch.com. That's WYNEMA ranch.com.
Get up, stand up.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now back to the show.
You better believe we're back now. State your case every Tuesday, noon till 1 on Radio for America, America Matters, and also our new FM station, 93.7. Glad you tuned in. We are with Todd Torvinen, Rick Cornell, Bill Kendall, and also on the line with us, we have attorney Danny Tarkanian, who also was a candidate for Congress. Before we get to the first text question, it happens to be for Danny, Bill. You had a question of Rick.
Well, we're going to get to that, but I want to ask Danny something.
Oh, go ahead.
What are you doing these days, Danny, after all the elections were over?
Yeah, my election was over a little bit too soon. That was back in June.
I agree.
I'm on the Douglas County Commission, so I do work for that. I have a couple businesses that I run, a real estate business and a sports academy and a sports facility in Las Vegas. So I go back twice a month for that. And I've been watching my kids finish up their senior years of golf and tennis. My two daughters, they're going off to college next year, so I didn't miss one of their events, which was really nice.
Oh, that's wow, cool. Is that even possible?
That's
These
great.
kids are that old? How did that happen?
Well,
Yeah.
you know, that's absolutely right. And Danny, you also got some wonderful remarks along with your wife yesterday when she did the show called Amy, named after Amy Tarkanian, and her right-hand man, of course, was Danny Tarkanian. Danny, I'm going to come to you with this from Regina. Regina lives right here in Reno, and she said, would you please ask Mr. Tarkanian what was the case that sticks out in his mind being an attorney over the years? Thanks, Regina, for listening. You're up, Danny.
Can I use any case? Or yeah, I'm going to Nevada case.
Yeah, no, any case. Any case you want to name.
I got my favorite. I'll tell you, the worst case ever decided by the Supreme Court, at least in my opinion, was the Tarkanian versus the NC2A case. It was decided in 1990, I believe, or 89.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. Yeah.
It was going on a long time. But basically, it was a state action case, and the case was that my father had produced a lot of evidence to show that the NC2A did not give him a fair hearing, both substantive due process and procedural due process. The decision that every lower court judge, including the Nevada Supreme Court, ruled that there wasn't a substantive evidence to support the violations, and then the procedure was even worse. I mean, you had no right to confront your accuser. You didn't even know who the accuser was until just before the election. Just before the hearing.
Danny, what was that about? Give us a little thumbnail about what that was about.
Well, my father was a basketball coach at UNLV, and he had spoken about the injustices of the NC2A. So the NC2A has an enforcement program that came out, and they put UNLV on probation in order then to fire my father. Well, my father is a state employee, so UNLV can't fire him. So the NC2A said, well, if you don't fire him, then we're going to kick you out of the NC2A. So it put the university in a real tough bind. They said, so in fact, the Nevada Supreme Court judge said, so we're stuck between either we got to violate somebody's due process rights, or we have to and be kicked out of the NC2A, and the millions of dollars of university would lose, or we have to follow the NC2A decision. So anyways, the case was a due process issue, and the whole issue was whether there was state action with the NC2A, because due process is only required by state actors. And the argument was, well, the NC2A is a private organization. If you don't like it, you can drop out, so it's like the Elks Club. Well, our attorney, Sam Lionel at the time, one of the great attorneys in Nevada history, he was arguing on our behalf, and he said, in fact, the person who asked him that was the Supreme Court justice from the University of Chicago, and I always forget his name up. But so Sam Lionel said, well, if you kick us out of the NC2A, then my client doesn't have a job, because the only intercollegiate sports is the NC2A, and he'll be fired from this position. And this dumb guy up in the Supreme Court, they're not dumb. They have a decision once they come to that conclusion. He said, well, I graduated from the University of Chicago. We don't have an athletic program, and it's doing just fine. Well, it has nothing to do with Sam's argument that you're taking someone's job from them without due process of law, because you kick them out of the only avenue of where the sports are. So anyways, this was an interesting deal. I was in law school, and I made an law review, and I wanted to write an article on this when it was in the lower court cases. And my professor said, absolutely not. There's no way the Supreme Court will ever grant cert to that. Lo and behold, they grant cert. Then my law professor tells me, Danny, this is going to be split between the conservatives and liberal judges. And for the first time in my life, I'm rooting for the liberal judges because they want to expand the due process clause. And he says, but if you can get either Wizard White, who was a great running back at the University of Colorado,
right,
or Sandra D'Arcano, you'll win. And if you don't get either one of them, you're going to lose. We ended up getting both of them. And we lost two of the most liberal judges I've ever seen. One of them was a University of Chicago grad, and one was black, and I forget the other guy's name. Anyways, there was a split decision, 5-4, where they basically, the Supreme Court said the NCAA is a private organization. They can fire a state employee without due process of law, and if you don't like it, drop out of the NCAA.
Wow. You know, and an irony is, you said this is about 1990, because that's, as my memory goes, that's when UNLV had its tremendous basketball team that won the title that year. Isn't that when that happened with Johnson and
so what happened? Exactly. So I think it was 1989 when the Supreme Court ruled its decision. Then it goes back to the lower courts who have to follow the Supreme Court decision. So then the NCAA then it went to the NCAA, and the NCAA said, okay, UNLV, you can't fire Tarkanian because he's a state employee, but then we're going to kick you out if you don't. So my dad voluntarily decided to step down if they didn't. And then what happened is a really interesting deal. We had three seniors that would have been first-round draft choices, and they came back after the 1990 national championship season to play in Butte. And they got an attorney, David Chesnoff, another great attorney out of Las Vegas. And he sent a letter to the NCAA basically arguing that the three seniors relied upon the NCAA statement back in 1977 that said, if there is a valid injunction, it would be utterly outrageous for us to do anything to the university. And those people that made that statement no longer there at the NCAA, and the new people said, forget that, we're going to do it anyways. Anyway, so David Chesnoff sent a letter saying, we're going to sue you and give you millions of dollars, because two of them would have been lottery picks, Larry Johnson and Stacey Augmon. And the NCAA backed down. They said, okay, we're going to allow you. No, my dad didn't voluntarily step down first. I got it out backwards. The NCAA had banned UNLV from repeating as national champions. They couldn't go into the NCAA tournament. That was what they did. They said, you won't fire Tarkanian, we're going to make this national championship team ineligible to defend their title. And that's when David Chesnoff made that argument. If you don't allow us to defend the championship, then basically you're going to not allow our three players that have a chance to make millions of dollars to be in the top showcase of where the scouts look at you. So they went back to negotiate, and my dad ended up agreeing that he would not coach for the next year, or coach and recruit, I think, for 1 year or 2 years or something.
So Danny, your father then sacrificed his career for the greater good of the UNLV basketball team. Is that right?
He did with that settlement. He was going to sit out. It might have been 2 years, because they were trying to suspend it for 2 years. He was going to agree to do the settlement, the punishment, if they allowed the team to repeat. The NCAA wanted to allow the team to repeat because they were going to get sued, so they reached an agreement. And yes, my dad did that, but in the meantime, he got fired from UNLV by the president later on. Anyways, it's a long story. We don't have enough time to go through all that.
My dad, an interesting story.
Unbelievable. Matter of fact, I got to tell you, Danny, and then we'll go on to the next topic. But this just came in from a longtime listener, Cheryl, in Carson City, our capital city, and says Tark, which is the nickname for Danny Tarkanian's father. Yep. Tark was the best basketball coach that ever existed, coast to coast and border to border. How about that, Danny?
Yeah, I certainly agree. I think she's got great taste and great opinions. I wrote a book on my father. It's called Rebel with the Cause. You can buy it on Amazon. I think it's very cheap now because it came out 3 years ago. But it talks about all the things that he went through with the NCAA. It talks about the Supreme Court decision. And I think it's very interesting. It also tells a lot about my dad's personality and how he related so well with different groups of people.
As I recall, Danny, your dad was extraordinarily popular in Las Vegas, where wasn't there a Shark shop or something like that sold sporting equipment and whatnot?
They had a Tarkanian sporting shop at the airport. They had a Tarkanian bar. My dad never owned any of them. People just would use his name and give him a royalty. My dad, and it made it easier for me to run for office. My dad was loved by a lot of people, and he was hated by some. Why? I don't know, probably what they read in the newspaper, and said some horrible things about him. And I grew up, seeing both extremes, and maybe that's why I don't get so hung up over if somebody's too positive or too negative.
Wow. I'll tell you what, gentlemen, this is really good. Now, we have about a minute left, Bill. If we can go to the next topic, and we'll keep Danny on, too. Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to go back to what Rick was talking about his case that the murder case that got reversed. I wanted to ask you this, and this is something that I don't think there isn't a fine line. It's a very gray area, but talking about the difference between first-degree murder, which requires proof of premeditation, and second-degree murder or involuntary or voluntary manslaughter, which is what us non-criminal defense lawyers maybe would call heat of passion murder, right, where you kill someone and it is spur of the moment. You lost your mind and killed someone.
The classic is you find the guy in bed with your wife. You walk in, and that's the classic heat of the moment.
Yeah. But, which is
in two senses
contrasted with somebody who plans and executes a murder. So here's my question: we're going to have to come. I want to ask you this question when we come back from the break, because it's a really good, interesting question. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Sliced fresh sandwiches every day, made right before your eyes. The port of Subway could be a smoking number 5 or a classic number 8, or maybe an Italian is your number 1 fave. Whatever you crave, prepare to fall in love. Sliced fresh sandwiches, Port of Subs.
Port of Subs Meatball Marinara Bundle is good. Tender, juicy meatballs on savory, fresh-baked rosemary Swiss bread covered with zesty marinara and provolone cheese, then grilled to perfection. Your Meatball Marinara Bundle comes with cheddar sun chips, an ice-cold Dr. Pepper, and a baked fresh daily classic chocolate chip cookie. Fall in love with the Meatball Marinara Bundle. It's a meal that even your nonna will love. Visit your neighborhood Port of Subs today, or order online at portofsubs.com or on our app. Port of Subs, slicing fresh for 50 years.
Whatever yummy number you're dreaming of, slice fresh sandwiches, Port of Subs.
We're talking to Victor from Precision Diamonds. Victor, we have talked before about the fact that you started 27 years ago in Park Lane Mall in a little kiosk. You are now in your own building across the street from the convention center. You've had to do something right.
Well, as we like to think that hard work, you like to think that it does pay off, but you get lucky along the way. You worked hard, you pay attention, and you get yourself ready. So hopefully when the right opportunity comes up to buy a beautiful building like we just have, you triple your size, you cut your overhead by half, and now you know that you're more competitive than ever.
Plus, you've had a chance to use all of the things you learned from that little kiosk in Park Lane Mall.
Oh, man, along the way, I'll tell you, as far as writing that lease check every month, boy, there were times that it was really hard to do, so you learn from your landlords, and it was really great feeling to say goodbye to the landlord. This has allowed us to truly become your local jeweler, your personal shopper.
Thank you, Victor. Precision Diamonds, your local jeweler across from the convention center.
Have you, a friend, or family member been diagnosed with cancer? Dr. Forsyth at the Forsyth Cancer Care Center offers an all-inclusive program to treat adult types of cancer. The Forsyth Immune Protocol Cancer Treatment Plan, in a current prospective study of over 6.5 years and 1,200 adult cancer patients, has produced a remarkable 30 times greater survival statistic when compared to conventional full-dose chemotherapy. Greater than 95% of all their patients choose low-dose insulin-potentiated life chemotherapy, using only 10 to 15% chemotherapy dosing with insulin. Dr. Forsyth has long been considered one of the most respected physicians in the United States, particularly for his treatment of cancer and the legal use of human growth hormone. Located in Reno, Nevada, Dr. Forsythe has seen patients from all over the world. To schedule your consultation today, call 775-827-0707. That number again is 775-827-0707.
Get up, stand up.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
All right, we're back now. State your case every Tuesday, noon to 1 on Radio for America and also America Matters Media. Want to thank everybody. Also, want to say goodbye right now. And Danny, want to thank you for joining us on State Your Case. I'm pretty sure it's about that time you told me you've got to take your son to the doctor. Is that correct? Well, it looks like he's already en route.
Yeah.
Drive safely, Danny.
The absence of answer tells you your answer.
Now we'll go back to Bill Kendall with his next question.
All right. Well, thanks, Eddie. Pleasure talking to Danny again. Here's what I wanted to ask you, Rick, and there may not be a good answer for this, but first-degree murder requires premeditation.
And deliberation.
Okay. And what we're talking about is planning to kill someone.
Yeah,
and
that's really
thinking
the
about the consequences and whether I should do it or I shouldn't do it. That's premeditation.
That's deliberation. Yeah.
That's deliberation.
Right.
Premeditation is just doing
You form the idea, which could happen.
And the difference between first-degree murder and second-degree murder or voluntary manslaughter is the absence of premeditation and deliberation.
Right. If you acted impulsively, that's considered second.
So here's my question. Let's take the scenario that you were telling us about the road rage incident that led to a killing.
Okay.
Your client, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but you said they got into a little bit a road rage thing, and your guy followed the victim. And what happened after they stopped their cars and they got out and had an altercation? What happened there?
Well, now. I will confess, part of the problem, this is what his testimony was at trial, and it was very different from what he told the police. That was his big problem, because he lied to the police and said he wasn't there, didn't happen, when, yeah, he was. But in any event, his testimony at trial was that they got into it over the driving. The victim said something threatening to him, he says, and the victim had a vape pen in his hand. It was dark out. My client thought it was a firearm based on what the victim had said. My client then went back to his vehicle. He kept a Glock, I think it was, under his driver's seat.
So there's some planning going back to his vehicle to get a gun.
Right.
And what's he going to do with it? Who knows? So he goes back to his vehicle, gets his gun, goes. I'm assuming they're not too far apart.
Right.
So he goes back to where the victim is and
fires a gunshot from about 10 feet away that goes through the window.
So the victim's still sitting in his car.
Victim's still sitting in his car.
Rick, I got a question for you. How long did this guy chase down the victim? That would involve premeditation. If you chase him for 10 minutes is one thing. If you chase him for 30 seconds is another.
I'm thinking it was more around the area of 30 seconds, but I'm not 100%.
So my question is, where is the line between premeditation and deliberation and heat of passion murder? That this guy did some planning. He must have done some deliberation. He's on his way back to his car. What is he thinking about? Is he thinking, I'm going to get a pizza when we get done here? Yeah. Or is he thinking, I'm going back to my car to get my gun and shoot this guy?
Well, good question. It's what the jury decides. If they decide that this was all one big impulsive act, they'll arrive at second-degree murder. If they think that he was deliberating, planning to shoot and kill him on his way back to the car and back, then they're going to come back at first-degree murder. If they think that he was acting in the heat of passion that a reasonable person would not have cooled off from based on what the victim said, they will arrive at voluntary manslaughter. And really it's going to be in the hands of a reasonable jury. That's when it's charged with open murder. And that's my argument to say, look, if it's felony murder, second-degree murder and voluntary manslaughter are off the table as a matter of law. You can't even think about it.
Well, those are lesser included offenses, right?
Right, but not for felony murder. If it's felony, if they prove the felony beyond a reasonable doubt, and there is a killing afterwards, even if it's accidental, it's felony murder.
That's true.
Yeah. So
the classic example, the getaway driver in a bank robbery runs over somebody in a crosswalk.
Right. And anybody involved in the felony is good for the felony murder. So
is there no standard to determine where premeditation and deliberation leave off and voluntary manslaughter picks up?
Not to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, no. I mean, it's going to be in the hands of 12 honest, reasonable jurors.
Which is a little scary in itself.
Well, and that's my argument to the Nevada Supreme Court, which is on an open murder charge. A reasonable jury could decide this was an impulsive act and therefore second-degree murder, or they could even decide that he was acting in the heat of passion.
Do you believe that the jury can't be charged with both felony murder and open murder?
Oh yeah, they can.
They can.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Isn't felony murder, whether or not the jury can find felony murder, isn't that typically at the first instance a matter of law because you're in the midst of a felony, right?
If they find
the jury has to find that a felony occurred.
Yeah.
Are these ever tried in two pieces, the felony first and then the murder charge?
If there is a felony and if the murder happens as a natural consequence, if the killing happens as a natural consequence of the felony, then it's felony murder. I lost an appeal that demonstrates that pretty well, Sanchez Dominguez, where the guy breaks into the house looking for his ex in violation of a temporary protection order. They say he's not here. He's waving his gun around. Her brother says, hey, if you're going to shoot anybody, shoot me. And then he shoots the brother.
Oh, my goodness.
The Nevada Supreme Court said even though the burglary is done when you enter, nevertheless, you can be good for felony murder if what you do is the natural probable consequence of your illegal entry. And they said that on those facts it was. So that guy was guilty.
Burglary is an unlawful entry with the intent to commit a felony.
Right. Or unlawful. Yeah. Or as the statute has been amended, a misdemeanor battery or assault. And on the facts that I just mentioned in Sanchez Dominguez, when the guy violated the TPO and comes in waving his gun around, it would appear that he intends to commit a battery assault against his ex.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you know what? Since we're talking exes, I'm going to go to Mitch in Palatka, Florida.
Okay.
Because I love Mitch adding a little levity to this topic right now. Mitch writes in and says, hey, what about if my wife hires someone to kill me? Can I kill her and consider it self-defense?
Nice try there, Mitch. Was it Mitch?
Mitch.
Nice try there, Mitch.
I
like your
answer.
creativity, but I don't think that's going to fly.
In Northern California, very possibly. In Texas, I wouldn't try it.
Amen. Well, he's in Florida.
The reason that's not going to fly, Mitch, is that in order for self-defense to apply, your life has to be reasonably in danger from the person who you end up killing in order for self-defense to apply. And unless your wife was attacking you with a hatchet, you can't just up and kill her.
She hired a guy and decided he was incompetent, and she just had to finish you off.
By the way, if you think you're at risk for being attacked by somebody, is that subjective or objective standard? Right before you can generate self-defense.
Both.
It's both.
Yeah, I mean, the Nevada Supreme Court is kind of confused in the area. On the one hand, you can
say
have
they wishy-washy wambly.
You can have self-defense even if you're reasonably mistaken as to the need of it. Reasonably mistaken, but you also can't have self-defense unless you acted when it was absolutely necessary.
Wow.
So the jury gets instructed that way, and you can well imagine the defense lawyer saying, "Aha, my client acted under a reasonable mistake of fact on the need of self-defense," and the prosecutor says, "Aha, it wasn't absolutely necessary." Because what the defendant perceived just wasn't so. So,
even though there's no duty to retreat.
Right. And there is no duty to retreat. That's correct. So
Anyway, I think that's an interesting idea, and there's probably never going to be an answer. It's like you have said, it's going to be on a case-by-case basis.
Sure.
It's going to depend primarily on the facts of what happened. And like you said, it's going to be up to the fact finder to make that call.
Yeah. I mean,
it's too bad that there isn't any, as far as you know, at least case law that articulates some kind of guidelines.
well, they are kind of like, basically, as I said, if you, the jury, find this to be an impulsive murder, then it can't be a deliberate murder. Therefore, it's second-degree murder unless you find that he acted in the heat of passion, in which case, if he acted in the heat of passion, then there's no malice, which is what's required for murder, whether first or second. Felony murder creates this legislative presumption that you acted with express malice. Why? Because you committed this felony.
And that felony led to the death.
Right. Exactly.
That was the common law standard anyway for years. Wasn't it? There was felony murder way before the legislature got involved.
Well, what the legislature's done is it's expanded the kind of criminal activity that can ground felony murder. Yeah, you know, you have the big four: burglary, robbery, rape, and arson. But now, you know, you have child abuse, child neglect, blah, 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 you know, and they've expanded the definition of burglary. You know, my guess is, for whatever it's worth, if the reversal on Cameron holds, the legislature will be in session to amend the statute to say discharging a weapon into an occupied residence or vehicle would be another one of the felonies that can ground a felony murder theory.
Well, that's also the classic law school definition of voluntary manslaughter, isn't it? We're firing a weapon into a known occupied building. You know, your classic drive-by where somebody fires a gun into a house where they know there's people.
Yeah, I mean, that would really a second degree. In other words, I didn't intend to kill anybody, but I did an act that's just so reckless that we can imply malice from it. Yeah, that would be the second.
Well, yeah, and this is all stuff we're, except for you, remembering back from law school, criminal.
Yeah, it's stuff stuff that I live all the time.
All right, well, we're going to take the next and last break of the show. We'll be back in just a few minutes after we hear from some sponsors and talk about some more interesting stuff. So don't go away.
Businesses, writers, check this out. Go to lrpnv.com to get your printing, publishing, and professional services today. Need a virtual office? A place to receive and forward your mail with professional address and suite number for your business? Someone to answer your telephones? Want to rent a conference room for only $15 an hour? What about that book you've been wanting to have printed? LRP Printing and Business Center can do it for you, and they have a professional assistant on site daily, Monday through Friday. Just call 775-356-1004. Need copies, business cards, invoices, books, booklets, or graphic design to help brand you or your business? Just call 775-356-1004 or go to lrpnv.com. With a great selection of new and used books, you can get your printing done and a book to entertain you in your time off. And don't forget, you could have your business sponsoring the Bookhound Radio Show, just like Andrew Martoni, author of Little Man in the Map, does every week. Just go to lrpnv.com. That's lrpnv.com or call 775-356-1004. They'll provide solutions for your business and writing projects.
Charbecue, the Butcher's Kitchen, would like to thank every customer for your loyalty and continued support through these challenging times. Call for takeout and delivery of rib tips, brisket, ahi, tuna, roasted veggies, and much more. Charbecue is open from 11 to 7, Monday through Saturday, and delivers hot food safe and healthy. Call 499-5855 for details. 499-5855 Charbecue, as featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives. Get real. Get into Charbecue Reno.
Hey everyone, Dave Escher here, introducing you to our new store, the Nevada Marketplace, in the Reno Town Mall. Anchored with the Buy Nevada First gift shop, we've added over 60 micro shops, giving locals a place to set up their dream store. We are now 20,000 square feet strong, supporting over 250 local merchants with all things made in Nevada and more. We have more locals in one place than anywhere in the state, ready to help you find that perfect gift. We're open every day with easy parking at Peckham and Virginia. Go to buynevadafirst.com, your source for all things local.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by A Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
Get up, stand up.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
All right, we're back now. State your case. Last segment. If you missed the first three, you've missed a lot, but you haven't missed it all. And Sarah, we're going to go to your question right now that's directed to the panel. Sarah in Sacramento, who always listens to America Matters and State Your Case.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, there you go. She writes in and says, is there a way, Rick, she's actually using your name, if the people are bank robbers and the driver of the getaway car runs over someone, are all people guilty of felony murder?
Short answer, yes.
Long answer, yes.
Long answer, yes.
Wow.
If you are part of a robbery, whether you're the actual perp, the one who sticks the gun in the face of the teller, or whether you're the driver, the wheelman, it doesn't matter. If the homicide, if the death happens in the course of the robbery, even running somebody over, you're all guilty.
Here's another one. Even if the victim of the crime shoots one of the perpetrators and that person dies, that is felony murder, and all the people involved in the felony murder except for the victim who shot them are guilty of felony murder.
That's right. I mean, hypothetically, I'm the wheelman, Bill's the perp. I drive him to the 7-Eleven.
Can I be the wheelman?
All right. Bill's the wheelman, I'm the perp. I go to 7-Eleven simply to rob the cashier of $500 or whatever he's got. Unbeknownst to me, the cashier is strapped. He pulls out his Glock and boom, blows me away. Bill is guilty of felony murder.
Right.
He was outside the store. It doesn't matter. He was part of the robbery.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There are a lot of interesting scenarios that invoke the felony murder rule that we could go through. But yeah,
Sure.
the classic one is the bank robbery with the getaway car and
Yeah. Okay.
Let me tell Jerry right now, and we know him here in Northern Nevada as Jerry the Pizza Man, okay?
Okay.
He had a story he wanted to share with us on the air, but Jerry, we're sorry. We know you called, but there's no time to actually get to your call. We're going to continue on with this topic. So
Yeah, maybe next week.
Maybe next week, Jerry.
Okay. So anyhow, now you all know something about the felony murder rule, and you were afraid to ask.
Is
Okay.
felony murder rule, is that pretty much the law in every state?
Yeah, including Nevada. Yeah, and it has been in Nevada. Oh gosh, prior to 1911, when we had the Nevada compiled
Well,
laws.
felony murder, the concept has been around for forever.
Yeah.
We studied that back in law school 30 years ago. And it was probably in existence 100 years before that.
I studied it in law school
So
45
there you go.
years ago.
Well, it looks like business is going to be good because a gentleman named Todd just told me that road rage is up 397% nationwide.
Not surprised. I'm not surprised. I see road rage. I would venture to say every day.
Yeah.
I see some form of somebody taking aggression.
An interesting issue in Cameron's case was there were 2 prior episodes of road rage.
That he committed?
Yeah, that he committed but neither one of them involved any violence.
Did that come into evidence?
Yeah, over a strenuous objection, and that was my third issue on appeal. And the Nevada Supreme Court did not reach it. But
did he get arrested for a road rage?
No. The cops didn't even know about it until they started investigating the homicide of the victim.
My question does that show a pattern?
Well,
it may show a pattern of road rage.
It shows a pattern of road rage, but the question is, can you admit it when the issue is whether he premeditated, deliberated, or whatever?
Well, yeah, but isn't that all part of the same transaction or event? And then, therefore, I'm sure that was the argument for the other side?
That may have been the argument, but it wouldn't fly because the way...
That's a complicated issue.
The way, what you're talking about is res geste, and the way that's been defined by the Nevada Supreme Court, it has to have been something that happened like right then. And in this case, those road rage incidents I'm talking about happened like a year and a half.
How did just out of curiosity, how did the authorities even find out about these prior road rage incidences?
Because what happened was they interviewed Cameron's kids, and the daughter said, "Hey, by the way, I happened to know about two other incidents, and I was there on one of them." And so then they...
Well, apparently she didn't have any love for her dad, huh?
Yeah, they...
that would be called family dysfunction.
Things got kind of...
So that's how they found out?
Yeah.
And then did he take the stand?
Yeah, he did.
And so they crossed him on that, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, extensively. Well,
to the extent the judge would allow it, right?
Well, I mean, they had a pretrial hearing and saying, can we even allow this? And the judge said, yes, you can, and over objection. And, yeah, when he testified, the prosecutor...
That's a real interesting issue about whether that's even admissible.
Now, why did he go on the stand then? That seems dumb to me.
Well, if I were the trial lawyer, I'd have an answer for you, but I don't. I wasn't, so I don't.
It makes no sense with all that history that judge laid in.
Yeah.
Road rage history. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know. Probably they thought that, gee, with the way the evidence is, it's a pretty tight circumstantial evidence case if he doesn't take the stand, and he will be convicted at first, but maybe he can be the silver-tongued devil we think he is and talk his way out of a first-degree murder conviction. That would be my guess.
Well, that would be the only way he'd be able to explain that it was a heat of passion type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I just lost my mind and
right, because as I said before, he lied to the cops, said he wasn't there to the cops, which was a lie, and he had to take the stand and say, "Yeah, I lied."
That's
to the
bad
cops.
Too.
That really is bad. I mean. He was in a dilly of a pickle, as Ned Flanders of Simpsons used to say.
By the way, you've got a compliment, Rick, from Colleen right here in Reno, Nevada. And she says, I think with Rick's knowledge of case law, his brain should be donated to Harvard Law School.
Yeah,
that's nice.
That's right.
Hopefully after I passed.
But then she reads it this afternoon, maybe. No, she didn't say that.
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh. Okay. All right, on to the next topic.
Well, we've got a few minutes. Todd, you got a new topic for us?
Well, this one involves, actually both of these. Well, this one involves technology. So Snapchat. You know what Snapchat is? Take a picture. And this is a story about Big Brother. So Snapchat, you take pictures and you send them to other people, right? With a little caption. It's limited to so many words. But this is what Snapchat did. They violated the state of Illinois Biometric Information Privacy Act by collecting biometric information, face images, which they then stockpiled and used without the user's consent.
Whoa. Ooh. What does that mean?
Well, they send them to advertisers, where these, you know who these people are.
Yeah, sure.
And their facial images might be picked up in other places.
Well, I can tell you this, my limited knowledge of Snapchat, I doubt there were very many pictures of faces that went to other people because Snapchat disappeared. The photo you sent someone actually then disappeared after a certain period of time.
But it's in their server someplace. It disappeared up to the users, but it's still there, and they use it for their own purposes.
Right.
Ooh.
And so these guys paid. It's to be approved by the judge this week, but they're going to pay $35 million and not admit wrongdoing. That's not going to Snapchat.
But
I think the Attorney General brought it, right?
So
no, it's a class action suit. Excuse me. So it's going to be split among all these users.
35 mil. Well,
that's not very much.
Not considering the kind of
the
income they
these
make.
outfits.
Probably not, but hopefully it's enough to send a message to them. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
But we talk about these on a recurring basis, whether it's Facebook or Snapchat or whatever it is that catalog this data about people.
You know, Snapchat was a platform where a lot of the younger kids romantically involved would use Snapchat and send pictures to
their body parts.
Of their body parts, absolutely. Yeah. And Snapchat said that you're welcome to send anything because it's going to disappear. Obviously,
it's on the server.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So that was part of their sales pitch.
Yeah.
You know, to the younger generation saying, hey, you can send this picture to your boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yet another reason why you might not want to be sending blank pics over the internet, right? And you know how I'm filling in the blank. Anyway.
I mean, you know, if you think about it, you wouldn't do it. I mean, it's just so stupid to do that.
Yeah.
People do that all the time. How many criminals get caught because they post their triumph of criminality on somewhere on the internet? That's dumb. That happens a lot, doesn't it, Rick?
Yeah. It
well,
does.
Fortunately, criminals tend to be dumb.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
Well, yeah. I mean, do they still have that TV show World's Dumbest Criminals? Remember they used to have that in about the 80s or so? Do they? Yeah, I mean,
that was a funny one.
Well, my question is, where does ego start and dumb start or stop, right? Because ego is related to dumbness too.
Absolutely.
I want to take big credit for this crime.
Yeah.
So.
Greed and stupidity run hand in hand, and you
Oftentimes
look at big tech.
they do.
You look big tech right now, and so this is coming in, and I love it because it's the last question we'll probably get. It comes from Ethan. Ethan lives right here in Reno, Nevada. Ethan, thanks for listening to the show. And Ethan says, Rick, since everything's coming in for Rick today. We'll change the name of the show. Said, Rick, since you do post convictions, could I please have your telephone number over the air?
Oh, sure. 775-329-1141. Or you can email me, richardcornell1553@gmail.com.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
And thank you, Ethan, for tuning into the show. Hey, I want to thank all three of you. And I also want to thank Radio for America for carrying State Your Case every Tuesday from noon until 1. And then we'd like to invite anybody, if you'd like to text a question in that I can then forward to these three unbelievably great attorneys, text me 775-384-4444. Again, 775-384-4444. And we'll see you all tomorrow at high noon.
And happy Thanksgiving in the meantime.
Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up.